Hey everyone, this is Jordan from PictureMonk.com and welcome to episode 65 of the podcast. This one's going to be a tiny bit different, and there's a very good reason for that. So for the audio folks, not going to have a problem. It's basically the same thing that you've listened to if you've been listening to me for a while. But for the video folks, the folks who watch it on the YouTube channel, you're going to see something a little bit different, and I don't know how long this will last. So what basically happened was a very long time ago, it seems, I put out a survey that said, listener of the podcast, go to the survey, let me know what you like about the podcast, let me know what you don't like about the podcast, let me know what you want to see, stuff like that. And so when I put out that survey, it was kind of slow in the beginning, but then it started to pick up, and I got a pretty good amount of results. And so I was reading over the results, and a few folks, one I can remember his name, Dan Miller. Not Dan Miller. That's a podcast guy or something. Dan started with an M. Dan M. You know who you are. He actually pointed out something that in regards to the YouTube channel. And the way it came off was he was basically saying that why even bother recording video when you're not really showing anything. Because normally when you hear like a show or a podcast show, you get like different camera angles. You get guests popping on so you can see who you're talking to. You may even show products, stuff like that. I really don't do any of that. It's just basically a talking head for 25, 30 minutes. And so Dan brought up a good point with that, and then a few other folks, as I was reading down the list, they kind of mentioned the same thing, and so that got me wondering, why do I do the YouTube video for the podcast? And I really couldn't come up with a good answer. So what that gave to me was obviously still do the podcast. That's a no-brainer. But maybe not do the video just because I'm not offering anything to you guys other than a bald guy talking to the camera. That's all you're seeing. So for the meantime, until I can figure something else out, maybe another way to splice in different things, even in post, if I have to take some extra time in post to do that, I'll do that. But for the time being, I think I'm just going to keep it just the audio portion, and that's really the way it started. I didn't have a video portion of the podcast when I first started, and that's kind of what I want to go back to. So if you did enjoy watching me on YouTube, very do apologize about that, but it kind of just makes sense. So for those of you who said something like that on the survey, thank you very much for pointing that out, and thank you for having actual constructive criticism when it comes to the podcast, and not just saying that you're stupid and why are you doing this? Because there were, I think, two or three of those. So thanks for the constructive criticism. So for the time being, and for going forward for right now, it's just going to be an audio only podcast. I still will post the audio on YouTube, so you guys can at least listen to that if you want to listen to it that way. I don't know why you would, but at least it's a thing to get up on YouTube just so you can listen to it. So. And now that that's out of the way, let's go ahead and get into the news of the podcast. I only got a couple ones that were really, really neat, that I kind of wanted to let you guys see and talk with me here. So the first one is a long exposure series, a seascape series, by Pay Homage. I believe that's how you pronounce the guy's name, or lady's name. I don't even know if it's a boy or girl doing this. But what they did was they took long exposure black and white, like really crisp black and white scenes, and put in fictional characters or I guess they would all be considered fictional characters. None of these guys are real, but they put in like little Batman figurines or a Godzilla figurine, Darth Vader, stuff like that, Yoda from Star Wars, all that kind of stuff. They put in all of these characters to integrate into the scene, and it's just really cool. There's a meaning behind it, but without even reading the meaning, the images are really, really neat. So he just kind of wanted to incorporate some things that were that were from his childhood, basically. Just unrealistic characters that are from his childhood, from famous TV shows, comic books, that sort of thing. So right when I saw the photos, I was really struck, just because I just love those kind of photos. Not because of the technical aspect, but the thought behind it. What made you want to do that? So that's kind of fun. So I'm going to put a link, as always, to the show notes, and you can find the show notes at picturemonk.com/PMP065. All right, so the next one is this one is kind of piggybacking off a podcast I did a long time ago, where I was talking about Milky Way photography. I've done a couple of those. I've done night photography, Milky Way photography, stuff like that. So this one is just kind of a small piggyback off of that, but it's a great way to demonstrate how light pollution can affect your photos. And so I'm not even going to pronounce this photographer's name because it's very weird, but some foreign dude. But this photographer, this article comes from Petapixel, by the way. This photographer took time-lapse photos, or a time-lapse series, showing the effect of light pollution on your photos, rating from, I think it's a class of 8 or 9, which is very heavily light polluted, to a class of 1. And what the difference looks like. So you can kind of see, if it's like a very heavy city scene, the light pollution, you can see basically nothing. It just looks like brown smog in the sky, in the night sky. You can barely see anything. But as it keeps going down, you can see how once you get into around class 4, 3, somewhere around there, the Milky Way is just popping out at you. So it's really cool to see that in a time-lapse fashion, because we all can see photos that were taken, and you're like, well, what did they do to get that photo? Is that photo even real? Did they do a sky replacement and stuff like that? So this guy actually did a time-lapse series, and it's a really cool scene. So again, you can check those out at the show notes. So that's just a quick run-through of the news topics for today. So let's go ahead and get into the main topic, and we got question sessions. This is kind of... I actually shouldn't have said question sessions, because that's coming up later in the podcast, but you'll understand why. So this is a all question and answer podcast. So these are pretty cool little questions here. Nothing crazy that's going to be very technical, but just some fun little questions here. So let's go and get to the first one. The first one is, let's see, let's go to Tiffany. This one says, hey, I'm looking for the best way to back up my Mac computer. Love your show. First of all, thanks, Tiffany, for contacting me about the question. And so it kind of depends on what you want to do. I have a Mac, and the way I back up my computer, which I actually, speaking of, I just got a notification that my billing information is wrong, so it's currently not being backed up. Thanks for sending in that question, so now I know to look at that. But what I do for my backup solution is I used to use just a hard drive. I have a 2 terabyte hard drive, an external hard drive that I bought a very long time ago, and I basically created a time machine, the Mac's software that automatically backs up stuff. I created a time machine file on there, and I quickly was running out of space on that 2 terabyte hard drive, and so I was kind of debating whether I wanted to keep my backup solution in-house, which is an external hard drive, and just buy another one, or do I want to take it off-site? And so I've always wanted to do it the off-site solution, just because I would rather somebody else be responsible. If God forbid my house catches on fire and I lose everything, at least my files will be off-site. And so then I was trying to debate what was the best solution for me, because there's a lot of online backup solutions out there. And so the one I finalized on was BackBlaze. And the reason I chose BackBlaze, and the only reason I chose BackBlaze, even though I'm very happy with them, was they offered backup for your main computer, so their internal hard drive, and they also let you back up external hard drives. So all the external hard drives that are plugged up to your machine, they allow you to back up those as well. None of the other options that I found did that for a Mac. They had it for a PC, but they did not have that option for Mac. So that's the main reason I went with them. There could have been a couple other smaller companies out there that did that sort of thing and let you back up all external hard drives from a Mac. But I wasn't trying to spend a week or week and a half just searching online backup solutions. So BackBlaze has been really good. As far as the uploading time for them, It varies with your ISP, so I noticed mine would slow down every once in a while. So I set my backup speed, or my upload speed, basically, to a very low amount. And if I remember going out of town for a weekend, or going out of town for a week or something like that, I'll throttle it all the way up. That way, that everything can be backed up while I'm gone. So that was a very ramble-ish question, I guess. But that's my solution for backing up a Mac computer. That's what I use. If you don't have a whole lot of stuff, you could probably get away with just doing a hard drive and just throwing it at your parents' house or something like that. But if you're really looking to have everything constantly backed up all the time, then that is a really good option. So again, thanks Tiffany for the question. The next one is from Harrison. I don't have a last name or location or anything. So Harrison said, what are your thoughts on retouching photos on an iPad Pro using the Apple Pencil? I don't own an iPad Pro, so I really can't be very descriptive about this. I don't even own an Apple Pencil because that only works with the iPad Pro. But the retouching on any sort of iDevice, I feel, is going to be tricky, just because it is not meant for... I guess you would just call it. It was not meant for full Photoshop or full Lightroom capabilities. Lightroom more than Photoshop, but instead of having a full version of Photoshop on some iDevices, you get the Adobe iDevice suite, which is like Photoshop Fix and stuff like that. It's not the full blown Photoshop. So if you find that you do a lot of retouching when it comes to maybe doing strokes on there, drawing in some stuff, shading using a pencil or your finger now, but if you want to use a pencil, I imagine it's going to be more beneficial to you. But I don't remember the price of the Apple Pencil or the iPad Pro. I know the iPad Pro, I think, is like $1,000, somewhere around there, $900 maybe. But then the Apple Pencil, I want to say the Apple Pencil was $150. Could be wrong, don't quote me. But all of that just to edit some photos, I would rather just buy a Wacom tablet and a MacBook Pro or something. I don't know, just to have something that's more beneficial to you. But if you already have all that stuff and you just want to find another way to edit photos, I imagine it'll be fine. I don't see any reason for it, for not trying it at least. But the only time I did play with the iPad Pro and the Apple Pencil was when I went to the Apple store and they had, the displays out there, and I was kind of drawing around with it to see the sensitivity of it, and it was really great. It worked really well, but I would have to play with it more to give you a really hardcore answer when it comes to that stuff. So sorry, couldn't be any more help than that. to steal a line from one of my favorite podcasts, the Dave Ramsey Show, some say the advice is worth what you pay for it. So that's my advice, and you didn't pay anything for it. So let's move on to the next question. This one is from Jess Timpton, T-E-M-P-T-E-N, Timpton. I guess that's how you say it. It says, what is your normal workflow and process when it comes to real estate photography? There's actually going to be a video to come about this. So, and I've kind of already talked about this on episode 58, I think. 58 of the podcast, I talked about this, so not too long ago, where I walked through my whole walkthrough from beginning to end, from acquisition to delivery of the files, all that kind of stuff. So I would probably recommend you check out that. But there's a video to come where that I'm still recording right now, where I take all the photos that I took from a real estate shoot and right off the camera and just go through them all, select the good ones to deliver, export the good ones, do all the retouching and editing that needs to be done to them. So it's a very long video, as you can imagine, but that'll at least give you some insight, I guess, into the way I handle that part of it. So again, episode 58 of the podcast, where I talk about real estate stuff, and watch out for the video on the YouTube channel. If you're not on the YouTube channel, go to PictureMonk.com/YouTube, and it will redirect you to YouTube, and you can subscribe there. The next question is from Matt Price, and he says, what do you prefer more, presets or actions? So Photoshop actions or Lightroom presets. Which ones do I I can't even say it. prefer, there it is, prefer more, it would have to be, if I'm making my own, probably presets. However, there's some really cool presets that are already out there, and there are some really cool actions that are already out there as well. So if you have been wanting to try some 3D effects, which is which is actually one of the actions that I have that I really like. It's not a photography one per se, but it's a kind of a graphic design part of it. It works really good. There's some really good actions to do some basic editing like you would do for presets. But if you're editing multiple files, then most likely you're not going to want to fuss with actions. It's probably best that you stick with presets. I do have a video that's coming out soon, which involves what are called Photoshop droplets, and I'll talk about that later in that video. It should hopefully be out in a week, but that could be very beneficial if you have multiple files to edit, and you want them all done exactly the same way. And uploaded to or put in the same folder and doing all that kind of stuff, and then you can worry about doing more advanced editing later. That's a possible thing. So look out for that video later. But just to give you a real quick answer about that, it's probably just presets. I prefer presets more if I have to choose between those. Actions are way more powerful, but yeah, definitely presets, just because you can do a whole lot of stuff with them. So thank you, Matt, for the question. Next one is from Rachel S., and she says, what do you think is the best handout to give to potential clients? I am a portrait photographer and feel like my business card is not getting me work. Well, to be fair, your business card is not supposed to give you work. It's kind of supposed to give them a chance to contact you and give you a chance where to find you. So what I would do, and this is kind of what I've already ordered, is is to make a oversized postcard, or a postcard. It would be fine, but I chose to do an oversized postcard. And what I'm going to do is, I've actually already ordered them. I just got some cheap postcards, which actually hurts my soul that I got some cheap postcards. I just use Vistaprint just because it's cheap, it's easy. I designed them myself, so I didn't rely on the Vistaprint stock templates and stuff. So I designed them myself, so that way I know I'm happy with at least the artwork. And I got all those and put one photo on the front and one photo on the back, I believe, or maybe two on the back. But I put those photos on there and put some contact information for me, and a little tiny bit about the services I offer and where I offer the services. And this is all regards to real estate stuff. And so when those come in, it's just a handout session. I'm going to be handing these to every real estate agent I can get my hands on. If I'm driving by an open house on a Saturday and I know there's a real estate agent in there, I'm just going to run in there, drop off a couple, and do a face-to-face, and hopefully that'll get a job or two. So for portrait photographers, I would imagine it'd be a little bit easier. I'm not saying it's easy, but it would be a little bit easier because there's more of I would assume, a need for portrait photographers than what I'm currently trying to gather here. So I would do something like that. Some have even gone out to do books, make a book of their stuff and hand those out. That can get pricey, obviously. So that's why I chose like the middle of the road, the little postcard. But again, man, that hurt my soul to not be able to pick the type of paper, and I might want to letterpress some of it or something like that. But it's all just regular photo stock, card stock, and all that kind of stuff. So we'll see how it works out. The next question is, oh, by the way, thank you, Rachel, for the question. The next question is from Henry Simpson. Henry says, what do you use to record the audio for your podcast? Not necessarily a photography related question, but I'm going to go ahead and answer it. What I use is a very cheap, and this is the microphone I'm recording on right now. It's a very cheap microphone, $25 currently on Amazon, and it's the CAD-U1 USB dynamic recording microphone. The reason I use that is I had another mic. I'm trying to remember the name of it. I just had it written down. I don't remember the name, but I had a mic that was about $50, $55 or so, and it was a very good mic, and the sound was great, but it broke. It just would not come on, and it only offered a 90-day warranty, and it broke after like day 95, and so it wouldn't have been fixed. It was easier just to buy another mic, and I did not want to go with that mic, that particular brand again. So I did another search for USB mics because I don't want to deal with a mixer and all that stuff. I just want a simple USB mic I can plug into my computer and just start recording. And so the mic I chose was this one because the reviews were outstanding when it comes in as far as audio quality. Build quality, probably not the best, but audio quality is very, very good. Sometimes I may do it disjustice just because I'm kind of crunching the audio a little bit to make sure it doesn't fill up my podcast service, but the pure audio that comes out of it is very, very good. And so this is the mic I'm recording on right now. Really no effects done to it, minus a little bit of compression. But again, it's the CAD U1 USB microphone. I'm going to go ahead and link to that on the show notes as well. It's got a lot of great features to it, like a built-in pop filter. I do have a foam, I don't remember what it's called. Foam doodad. I have no idea. Not an audio guy. But I have one of those foam things on the top to help with the pop. And simple USB off-on switch for muting and all that kind of stuff. Really good mic. So if you're looking for a way to record fairly decent audio without spending a whole lot of money, then this is probably a good one for you. So again, $25 on Amazon, not too bad. So thank you, Henry, for the question. Henry Simpson. Next question is from Wade. Really cool name, no last name that he provided or location, but just Wade. So what software is best to edit my video from my GoPro? Nothing major, just a few color adjustments and cropping. If it's nothing major and you're not really trying to make a blockbuster film out of the whole thing, probably the GoPro software is probably a good one. I have it on here. Sometimes I use it, sometimes I don't. I have it on my computer, and for the most part, it does a pretty good job if you're not looking for anything crazy. And it's got a really good built-in timeline feed and all that kind of stuff, so you can actually do a whole movie on there if you wanted to, not just individual clips. If you want to get into it a little bit more and you're just doing clip stuff, then Photoshop is a good one. If you have access to Photoshop, it's a really good one. Sometimes I throw my video in there just to see what it'll do and give me a little bit of extra oomph when it comes to editing. You can actually take the video into Camera Raw, edit that way. So that's another thing. But then, I don't do any major video editing when it comes to my stuff. I try to get by with what I have. So Adobe Premiere, iMovie, that sort of thing. So that's probably the best option. If it's just for color adjustments and cropping, like you said, you could probably get by with the GoPro editing suite, and I think it's called GoPro Studio, and it's a free download. So just go to GoPro's site and you can find it there. So thank you, Wade, for the question. And let's go to the last question here, and this one is from Todd Tyndall. And this one is, how do I remove the moire effect from my photos and video? This is mainly showing up on clothing, which it normally would. But it showed up on clothing, but I have noticed it in some backgrounds, some building in the backgrounds. So first of all, Todd didn't write the question like that. I just couldn't read. So Todd, removing the moire effect, I'm actually going to make a video on that as well, because that's a really good topic for a video. The moire, for those folks who don't know what the moire effect is when you're taking a photo of a repeating pattern. It could be clothing, which has like a pinstripe. You can some type of jackets even show like the fabric. You kind of see like a swirling effect in the jacket. I've noticed this a lot with real estate photography as well. You have a building in the background that has brick or vinyl siding, and depending on how close or far you take the photo, you'll see some kind of what it looks like kind of warping a little bit. And as soon as you zoom in, it's kind of gone. But depending on the viewing angle, it might show up. So I'm actually going to make a video on this because it's not really a super easy effect to get rid of. Some cameras like the 5D Mark III have a built-in moire filter. I don't know if that's exactly what they're calling it, but it's a filter basically that will sort of dampen the moire effect even before the image hits the sensor. From what I've been told, I don't have a 5D Mark III, so I can't speak on that. But from the stuff that I've read, it's a really good filter to have. And so it is a problem with repeating pattern, but there is a way to remove it from using Photoshop with that's with photos. With video, I have no idea with video. I'm not afraid to say I have no idea. I think with video, from just off the top of my head, spitballing it here, I would think that would have to be a frame by frame edit. So and that might be a pain in the butt to do that, but that's some other video file might know about that. I'm not a video file, major video file. So that could be something that somebody else would know. But photos, it's somewhat easy to get rid of, and I'm going to make a video on that. It basically involves adding a little bit of noise, blurring it a little bit, and what's the other one? Sharpening. That's a easy way to remove it. So, or to lessen, not remove it completely, but lessen it. So, thank you, Todd, for the question. Hope that helps a little bit. And let's go to the widget of the week. Okay, so the widget of the week is actually two ones. That's not even a particular sentence. It's actually two different ones. And so the first one I'm going to talk about is there's going to be some videos that are going to be popping up on my YouTube channel, and I just kind of want to give this to you guys and let you know the heads up on what's going on. So a company contacted me to start making videos for them, just to do like quick tutorials and stuff like that. And so I said I would be glad to help make videos for you guys, as long as I could use them on my channel. And they agreed to that as long as I do like a little sponsored by, that sort of thing, sponsored by intro and everything like that. So some of the videos they have me making are really good, and so they're really good topics, and I want to go ahead and put those out to you guys. So going forward, every so often you might see a video come up on my YouTube channel and on the website where it'll have like a little intro that says sponsored by sleeklens.com, which is the company. That's SLEEKLENS, sleeklens.com. They have some videos up there. They have a really great blog section. They have really great products as well. I've actually got a hold of their complete suite, basically. And the Photoshop actions they have, the presets they have are really, really great. So you will see those come up there soon on the YouTube channel. If you guys are by chance running through sleeklens.com, if you want to check it out and you find something that you like, you can use the coupon code at checkout, Jordan10, and that'll get you 10% off. It's just, just in case you find something you like and you want to support the show, go ahead and use that coupon code. I'd really appreciate it. But basically, yeah, I just wanted to run that by you guys so you can kind of see the different videos that are coming out. So it'll have my intro to them, or it'll have the Sleek Lens intro to them, and you'll just hear me come after. So I'm not going to release all of them just because I just want to keep it sort of minimal, but there are some really cool topics out there, and so those will be out at some point. And then let me pull my show notes. The next one is also a YouTube thing. It's kind of like a YouTube related podcast here. A YouTube thing. So as you can tell, I've done a question and answer podcast here. I don't know if the next one is going to be, because I don't want to have these be a ongoing thing. I don't want every week to be a question and answer section, because that's just going to get boring for everybody. So one way to combat this, because I have been getting a very large amount of questions. I don't know what I did to get a bunch of questions, but I welcome them. So if you do have questions and you're still listening to the podcast, you can send questions to PictureMonk@gmail.com. Any social media networks, Facebook.com/PictureMonkPhoto. You can you can join the PictureMonk Nation Facebook page, do it that way, Instagram, all that kind of fun stuff. But a way to kind of help this out is to do what I'm calling a question session series. And so what this is going to be is me taking one question and recording a video of me talking about the question and giving thanks to the person who submitted the question. It's going to be just a really quick video. It'll probably be about 3-4 minutes, somewhere around there, as long as I don't ramble like I'm doing now. And it will just be a really quick question answer video. So if you want to get your question on the podcast or on the video channel, go ahead and submit those. Again, it's PictureMonk@gmail.com or any social media network that I'm on. Go ahead and send them my way, and I'll be happy to help you guys out. So you guys are helping me out by listening, so I want to help you guys out as much as I can. So that is it, guys. That is the podcast. I went a little longer than I thought I would. But that's the podcast. Thank you for joining me this week, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the week ahead. Look for more videos coming out on the podcast, or more video coming out on the YouTube channel. Podcast next week's going to be a good one, and we'll see what's happening, guys. So thank you very much for listening. This is Jordan from PictureMonk.com, and I will catch you in the next podcast.